What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, our Sunday night show. Brought to you by our friends at Couch in the Rube. Our Sunday night show brought to you by our friends at Skymint Premium Cannabis, as well as Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. So much happening. Jason, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's happening, buddy? Sorry.
All
My
good.
headphones got tangled up there.
All good. All good. A little bit of
I am never going to financially recover from this.
It's been a day, man. It's been a day.
It's been quite a day. Gambling-wise. Why do I gamble on the NFL? Why?
Or college football, frankly. I took a bath on Saturday.
Mike Zimmer.
Man.
Piece of shit.
Tough weekend.
Yeah.
Didn't see a few things coming.
Yeah. Gambled against a guy that has 12 national titles.
Yeah.
Wasn't smart.
Nope. Not at all.
Kirby Smart.
Not at all. Yeah. Now, last time I go against Saban in my life. That is what I've.
But I mean, I guess I'll get into it one of my takes. But I mean, these after the fact motherfuckers that are going to sit there and be like, "Oh, you win at Saban." Like you got everyone I talked to said Georgia -6 and a hook. Everyone, and then the line didn't move, which we should have known. But
yeah, no, it was interesting. Some people, I mean, Rico Beard was saying it was the easiest money he ever had. I saw Dan Kilbridge at bookies.com was all over Bama the night before. And I was
but
like,
he had a
God.
video, right?
Dan.
Did Rico say it beforehand, or is Rico? Because Rico's kind of after the fat guy sometimes.
No, he was after the fat guy. He was at. Well, no, he wasn't after he was during the game because it was happening during
the game, guy.
Yeah, because we were watching the Michigan State basketball game next to each other as it was unfolding, and he was being during the game guy with the Georgia Alabama game, saying it was the easiest money he ever had. Yeah, you got to tweet it out there early, and maybe he did. He's got a daily radio show and he's got a Twitter account, so it's possible.
True,
it was out there. I don't want to say that he didn't put it out there. I certainly was on the other side of that, and it was not the type of advice that Mark and Jay would have given at North Coast Wealth Management for sure. Not that they give gambling advice. By the way, that's not their thing. Let me make that real clear.
Side hustle.
Yeah, no. This is
by the way
investment advice, not on a whim. Can't miss parlay advice.
My last 3 parlays, though, if you played them straight, I'm 7 out of my last 9 in my games.
That's
so
not bad.
I'm pretty happy about that. But
that
still,
might be the way to go. And I always like
incarnate word. Thank you.
When I love a parlay, I always play it straight too, because otherwise,
well, you have baller money. I just have to pray for a parlay.
So you can
have like 9
money.
different books and weird guys that ride camels and send you checks. So.
My guy's going to owe me this week after the Pitt
paying your taxes, of course.
ACC, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Pitt season wins, or not season wins, the ACC championship bet cashed. All right, we've got some great hot takes from you. Sorry we only gave people about 3 hours to get them in today. I didn't want to put the call out for hot takes until after Michigan State's bowl announcement because I figured there'd just be a lot of doubling back and people that were holding back on one or some would be outdated. So it was a shorter window, but you guys did really well. There's some great stuff.
4-hour show for this bowl announcement.
Well, that's awful.
4 hours?
But who watches the whole thing? You just, I was watching
Chris Solari.
Maybe Chris Solari is tweeting
watched
about
the whole
it.
thing.
Yeah, it was bad.
But during the NFL Sunday, come on.
Yeah, I'm watching the NFL. I'm watching. There was a good soccer game on in the 12:30 time slot too. A Premier League game. I didn't need them to break down the top 4 for 3 hours when you knew what
when
it was
you have
going
a
to be
month
and you knew what it was going to be going into today because of what happened yesterday.
Oh, just football speak.
It's
enough of it.
I do understand that you might take some minute to get the other games together once they know the top 4, but this one should have been. I don't know. I understand it takes a minute. It's just it's a long process from noon to 2:30 before they
ridiculous.
Reveal the other games, including Michigan State in the Peach Bowl against Pitt. All right, so let's start there.
You go ahead
with hot takes. Okay, it feels like a bit of a letdown, even though this is a New Year's Six game at the end of a 10-2 season with some cool storylines. 2 Heisman Trophy candidates, and Kenny Pickett and Kenneth Walker. and the Narduzzi storyline, and a very good 11-2 ACC champion in Pitt. Like, it shouldn't feel like a little bit of a but it does, and I'll tell you why. Because it is a New Year's Six game. It is a showcase game. It is on a Thursday night with no other, on a night that no other games are on. I think it's a Thursday. But the problem is, you used to be able to get that same feeling like a 7 p.m. December 30th-ish game in the Alamo Bowl and be the only thing on. Like, it does. It's not like it. It just doesn't have that same. Not being on New Year's Day, I think, matters. And I also think we associate success in bowl games and big bowl games with Florida and California and Arizona and not really Atlanta, not really the Peach Bowl. And if you look at the history of the Peach Bowl before 2014 when it got elevated into one of the New Year's Six games and sort of propped up, it really wasn't that game. It was much more of an Outback Bowl for other conferences. And so I think it's really hard to get your head around. The Citrus Bowl in Orlando, in Florida, is a game we've seen be big and important and feel good. The Fiesta Bowl we've seen be a not even when it's a national championship game. It's been that, and it's been a semifinal and all that stuff. But we've seen like the Boise State, Oklahoma, the famous game between those two teams in 2007. There have been some classics at the very highest levels, and it was part of the BCS structure too. So it's been a top flight bowl for a long time. The Peach Bowl just doesn't have that same feel. It's not a place you can lay out by the pool. You're going to Atlanta. There's no beach. There's no interesting landscape. I'm not
Atlanta.
I'm not dogging Atlanta, but
you are.
Here's the difference. My wife, we had flights booked everywhere because you got to book them. Also, pro tip: when it's down to 2 bowl games and you're worried about prices, book both places because you can cancel one flight within 24 hours. Book both places before it's.
Not all of us have a black Amex card. We can slap 2 tickets on.
I'm just saying, if you have the ability to, you'll save money by booking ahead of time. Yeah. So my wife was going to go to Arizona. She was fired up. She's like, that'll be a fun trip.
Yeah.
5-6 nights in Arizona. May not be pool weather, but it's still kind of cool. Atlanta, she's like, I'll see you in 5 days. you're on your own. And look, what I'm saying that is
it's no knock on Atlanta though.
I'm just saying that it's just not the same vacation destination over the holidays. It's an easier trip for some people, which I think is great. It's less expensive. There are lots of hotels still available.
No kidding.
And so there are some good things about it. Delta hubs, easy. Detroit. I'm flying out of Lansing for a relatively easy price. All that stuff is there. It's not a bad game. It just, that's why it doesn't feel like, after what they did against Penn State, felt like this crescendo to this moment. And today felt like the least of the moments that they could have had.
Wow. That's depressing. With that take, though, are you done?
Yeah.
I guess, because this is, I ended up looking at my takes in my mail here, and it's Carmen Electra's hot level worthy, but I'm going to change my first hot take. With the way you were just describing the bowl game, I don't see any way Kenneth Walker plays in this game. I don't think why it would be necessary for him to showcase. I think because the NFL scouts have already seen his talent throughout the season. What does he benefit other than, even if he runs for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, how does that benefit him as far as draft stock? I think his draft stock is right where it should be. And playing in that game, you just don't want to get hurt unless he has some sort of insurance policy like Jake Butt had for $1 million. I just don't see any reason why Kenneth Walker should play in the bowl game.
What if he played in the Fiesta Bowl, though? If it was Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl?
That's debatable.
So here's my point.
I think yes, he might.
What I'm saying is this letdown is sort of from the fan perspective. The what I don't know that he views it any less. And Mel Tucker said today he has had no players tell him that they're not playing yet. Now, I think there need to be frank conversations to make sure they're on the same page with all that stuff, and he understands the risks. Yeah. Regardless, Kenny Pickett probably in the same deal. I mean, there's a first round pick quarterback who
is fake slide.
There's one Jake Panashuk blindside hit from, oops, that's not there anymore. So sure. you all these guys need to have those conversations, and I think it's sort of sad that this is where it is, but it's also, I don't understand why it wasn't there I mean, we used to run these guys into the ground in college. I mean, what they did to college football, like running backs in the 80s and 70s, there were guys who left school like 2 inches shorter because they ran on turf for so long and played 4 full years and had no knees left, and it was okay. I mean, it was ridiculous how dumb people were back in the day. I mean, it's
even in the NFL. I mean, you look at Earl Campbell highlights when he's running on that turf and getting his jersey ripped.
We're less than 2 decades. We're less than 2 decades removed from when people got obviously concussed in a game and continued and played the rest of the game. Like,
that still happens today.
Yeah, but they're much more careful with it, at least. I'm just saying, our history is not of being intelligent.
We also got on an airplane and thought we could smoke on a tube.
Exactly.
With wings for years.
So what I'm saying to you is, if you start a medical school today and somebody goes, well, we're Harvard and we've been around since 1890. Yeah, in 1890, you thought leeches solved shit. Like, don't brag about being a medical school that was around before 2006 because you didn't know anything.
But if they weren't around, you have to start to develop and grow. So it's nice to be around at some point.
I know. Sorry,
they were just fixing scurvy back in the day.
That's one of my usual rants that I like say, and my wife's eyes roll and she leaves the room, and it's very, very typical. But I had that discussion with her and her friend last night. Because I started to tell a story, and she got up to go to the bathroom. And
how far were you in?
Like 3 words, because she knew what was coming.
Oh, boy.
It was not a story worth telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing, which, by the way, I had a fantastic lunch with a friend on Friday. And it was, I'm telling you, the turkey twist sandwich with the way they do the broccoli with that seasoning, it's incredible, and an American stout, absolutely outstanding, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. But anyway, so yeah, we had a joke about, I was telling her friend that this is what kills my confidence in stories, her getting up to leave as soon as they
Now, did the friend listen to the story?
She did.
Okay.
And
was it a fake reaction?
No, but she was attentive, and it kept my confidence. You just got to, the only way I'm going to get better is if people pretend to listen to me. It's the only way it gets better. So anyway,
Marriage sounds great.
I don't think this is a bad, that's where you're headed, man.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think this is a bad bowl game. I don't think this is a bad situation. I don't think the players will see it, but I don't think it didn't.
But the way you were sounding about
it didn't have the crescendo.
Right.
That's right. The crescendo was a definite, because of all.
So if you're not excited about it, why should the players who have NFL,
because they
dreams?
see things differently. If you're, Notre Dame isn't a rival to Kenneth Walker. He doesn't give a shit about Notre Dame and the history of the Michigan State. He doesn't. Kenneth Walker was like 8 years old when that great Fiesta Bowl with Oklahoma and Boise State happened. You know what I mean? There's just not the same.
He didn't even know about the trouble with the snap until the week of the Michigan game.
Right. That's
so
what I'm saying. So the players may view this totally different, and it is still a big deal for the program. And I'm going to do a column that totally flies in the face of this, and some of my other takes will be too, but that talks about all the reasons that this bowl game, that people should be pleased that MSU's in this bowl game. I'm not going to say they should be fired up for it, but I think there are reasons that it's a good finale for this team. And what
Pittsburgh scores a lot of points, man. Kenny Pickett, if he does play.
Well, yeah, I'll get into that. I'll get into that in a second. All right, what is your first hot take?
Kirk Ferentz is a chicken shit coach, and letting your son Brian call plays is atrocious. You're in the Big Ten championship game, and you're gutless. Listen, I know it's Iowa, blah blah. They're solid every year, 9 wins, 10 wins. They go 10-2, but that performance in the Big Ten championship game was one of the saddest things I've ever seen. You might as well punt on third down. I mean, you run on second down, you run on third down, and then you punt. I just don't understand how you go into a game like that. You're overmatched. Michigan played a great game. They kicked their ass. They scored 42 points on you. But offensively, if that's the performance that you're going to show in the Big Ten championship, we have to realign.
And it was such.
We have to realign the Big Ten somehow here.
It was okay. I'm going to get into that. Okay, I'll go to my third hot take with that. Well, 2 things. One on Iowa's offense. I thought the first drive when they didn't get any points out of that was
a wrap.
Just a killer. I'll stay with you on the realignment, and this was going to be my third hot take. So we'll just go. I can reverse order, and I don't even need to tell people I'm reversing order, but I do because I'm not very good at this. To me, I'm with you. If what's happening in the East Division right now is sustainable, and I'm talking about Michigan and Michigan State sort of joining Ohio State near the top every year. And I don't know that that's there. I mean, Michigan State both sucked last year. Michigan's had some real down years. Michigan State's had some real down years. I don't know that it's sustainable. But if it is, if those two programs are on the ascent, if what Michigan was this year is going to be more normal for them, if Michigan State is on the come again, if Penn State is going to continue to be good and push a little more, but especially Michigan State adding to this mix, then the Big Ten is seriously going to have to look at redoing the divisions. Because I thought for a long time that eventually it would sort itself out, right? If you just waited long enough. Like things flip in time. And that if you did make the change, almost as soon as you did, it would be like, that wasn't necessary. Look now who's good. Somebody else is good that wasn't good for a long time.
But who did you think was going to be good that never did?
So part of it was Nebraska never rose up, right? It just never happened for them. And that's gone on long enough that you just can't think it might ever. And maybe Minnesota gets to a point where it's consistent. Iowa's going to be Iowa. Maybe Bielema gets it going to Illinois. Wisconsin's pretty good. They are what they are. But I think the real key here is it has to be, though, that Michigan State are going to be this. Like this year it looks bad. And it looks bad because it's now like 8 years in a row. The East hasn't done it. But without Michigan and Michigan State elevated, it's just an Ohio State problem. And realignment doesn't do anything. It's wherever Ohio State is the problem. You know, I mean, so that's the thing. It's fine to say that. I mean, I know Michigan State has won a couple of these and had some teams up there, but that game against Iowa against Michigan State was really, really close, right? I mean, and the first one they won was against Ohio State. But if Michigan and Michigan State, if this sustains itself for 2-3 more years, they're going to have to look at it because then it's really unbalanced.
Leaders and legends again.
I don't
want to ever see Iowa in a Big Ten championship game. As long as Kirk Ferentz is the head coach of Iowa, I would be completely embarrassed by that performance. If you're going to get dominated like that, don't you at all, maybe in the second half, go, why don't we just try to run a play, anything, trick play, end around, tight end go?
If you took Ohio State and Penn State and put them in a division and separated them from Michigan State, you'd start. The problem is the rivalries. And guaranteeing certain rivalries and keeping Michigan State or Michigan and Ohio State at the end of the year, and then do they play again? So I'd be more inclined to have them stay in the same division.
What about just one division? The top two teams end up going to the Big Ten
championship.
Like they do in the Big 12?
Yeah.
Right.
No, there's an argument. The problem is not everybody play. It's unbalanced then. So the problem then is you win sometimes you
but
will.
The big team, the best teams will still be number 1, number 2.
Yeah, but what if you don't play Ohio State one year and you win the division because of that?
Well,
that's the problem.
Then you're Cincinnati.
Right. I'm just saying it's imperfect. I don't hate the divisional format. Part of the real problem is you fucking let Rutgers and Maryland into the league, and you've got too many teams to do a true, even come close to a round robin. That's the problem.
We're dropping MFers now?
You got too big, and now you got an issue. That's the issue. Or, you know what takes away some of this? Is if you get to a 12-team playoff.
There we go.
And then a team like Ohio State, in other words, then the second-best team in the East Division isn't eliminated quite as early if they're the second-best team in the
But Gary Barta
conference.
or some other dude wearing khaki pants was talking about how it's not going to happen until at least 2025. There's some sort of contracts, right?
Yeah.
And we're not going to see a 12-team playoff. Like, it's bullshit.
It sucks because you talk about a crescendo not being there for Michigan State and for some of these other teams, maybe in the New Year's 6 games. If you took those 12 that are New Year's 6 games and that was the playoff now, everybody's excited. Everybody's into it. Yeah, if Michigan State may not have much of a chance to go very far, but being in the playoff would be a big deal. And everybody would be, it wouldn't be Xavier Henderson who wasn't paying at all attention to what bowl they were going to go to. He was out to brunch and happened to check his phone. Peyton Thorne happened to turn the TV on when it was done. Like these guys aren't even worried about where they're going but can you imagine if it was like a playoff selection show? They'd be much more into it, right? Like the teams
12 hours long.
Well, yeah, but they'd be much more into it. All right, what is your second hot take? Are we on 2 for you? I think. Yeah.
I think I'm on 3. But
okay.
Yeah, so we're talking about Kenny Pickett because Michigan State is going to play Pittsburgh in the bowl game. But if you saw the Wake Forest game, Graham, I had a little issue with Pickett because he had a nice run and he faked a slide. Now, listen, it's within the rules. It was impressive, but we have to put a stop to that, right? Because, I mean, what are you letting the defenders do? If you're going to fake that, then what, next time I can absolutely blast you? Because then I can go, well, he faked the first one, so what is a defender supposed to do?
Yeah. No,
I just think that rule, you have to nip that in the bud right now.
Yeah, you can't fake a slide. If you're a quarterback, you cannot fake a slide, or the rest of the game, you are fair game.
Why not? Yeah.
You cannot fake a slide on somebody. But
how did we not think of that rule before?
Yeah. No, that was
the fake slide. I mean, it's an obvious thing where a ref could see that and call him down where he was.
I think if you fake the slide, you're down. I think faking the slide to me is beginning the slide. If you fake it, you're down. Right then.
And by the way, Kirby Smart is ass as well. There's a lot of terrible coaching. I mean, Dan Campbell, if you want to talk about that, on his own 30, fourth and inches, he's up 2, and he goes for it. Ends up winning the game anyway. Mike Zimmer versus Dan Campbell, the Rube-Off. The Rube Bowl.
I love it.
Unfucking believable. Mike Zimmer should be fired now. I mean, I'd fire Dan Campbell. I don't understand what's happening with this. I understand that the players love him and all this dumb shit, but I just don't see how this is going to end with the Lions.
The reason I disagree with you on Dan Campbell is I think if they're going to suck for another year and a half, you might as well have a coach they at least want to play for and then bring somebody else in when you're ready to win.
Yeah, but you're just going to go for it. I mean, I've never seen a coach ever try that.
Yeah.
Are you just conceding the season? Are you telling me that you're just trying for the number 1 pick, and if you win, you win? No coach on the planet, up to when you have an all-pro punter, would go for it on 4th and 1.
In my job,
in your own territory.
In my job, Dan Campbell has 2 jobs. 3, really. To keep the locker room from splintering and falling completely apart is number 3.
There was no fans there today.
Number 2 is to get the number 1 pick. And number 1 is to win fewer than 3.5 games and win my season win bet. He and I are working together in tandem on that. That's what we're doing. So that's
I think
all.
He might be all right against the spread. They're lethal, but
all right. So my third and final hot take here. While this is the worst, and this is another Peach Bowl take. While this is the worst matchup of the potential matchups for Michigan State, it is. I mean, Notre Dame would have been better because Notre Dame is, their bread and butter offensively is running the ball, and that plays into Michigan State's strength defensively a little bit more. Same with Oklahoma State team that's turnover prone as a passing game and is really good defensively, and they get the one team that has a quarterback who's got like 42 touchdowns and 7 interceptions thrown for 43 or 4,300 yards. I mean, they're number 1 in the red zone. There are all sorts of problems. However, it is also the best chance for MSU to feel really good about itself going into next year if it can figure out a way to hang in there with Kenny Pickett, like if it can solve something. Because any other game, they might have won. They might have won a big game against Notre Dame. That would be kind of exciting. But and we wouldn't have even thought of it this way. But you would not have solved anything. You would have been who you were, and who you were might have been good enough to get to 11 wins, and that's great, and you reset for next year, and that's all fine too. But there is a chance here to do something meaningful. And this is sort of the matchup to do it. If you have a month to figure out, and you're going to get some guys, I think, a little bit healthier. You're still going to be, it's still the same defensive backfield to some degree. But you've got a month to figure out how to put together a game plan and get your guys ready to hang in there. And it's not going to be, look, they're throwing 350 yards a game. It's not going to look perfect. They're going to put up yards. The guy's thrown for more than 4,000 yards and 42 touchdowns this year. Nobody's saying it needs to look like the best of the Michigan State defenses when Narduzzi, for example, was the coordinator. But if you hang in there and you don't get embarrassed, if you don't have the Ohio State performance or the Purdue performance where it's ugly, if you're opportunistic and if you're more Miami, remember that game, how they were like, they gave up some stuff, but they were
bend,
tough.
Don't break.
Yeah, but
when it started.
But they didn't bend too much then. By the end of the year, we kept saying bend but don't break, but there was a lot of bending. It was like contortionist shit. Like at the Miami level, it was still like, there's some bend in there, but look what they just did after they bent. Look at the time of that sack. Look at the third down here. Look at and they're playing a better quarterback here. But if they can do something, maybe they look a little different. Maybe they don't give them the space and they don't bend. Maybe they let themselves try to get picked apart by a veteran quarterback. Who knows?
Well, let me ask you this. Is this Hazelton coaching for his job? I know it sounds extreme, but let's say Kenny Pickett throws for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. Are we like, what's happening with the defense? Do you go into next season with Hazelton after seeing something like that, after having weeks to prepare?
Right. So, but Mel Tucker is part of that prep. So is Harlan Barnett. So is the whole staff. It's a pretty good defensive staff. And so the idea, or at least a lot of brain trust.
You're not getting rid of those guys.
Right. Well, exactly. But they know what's going on and why it's happening. So if Mel Tucker feels like Scotty Hazelton's not getting it done, then you could see that. But I'm just saying, at this point, I think you have to have some faith in that Mel Tucker understands why things are happening. Because he does not seem like a D'Antonio-type loyalty coach. I'm not saying he's disloyal, but
that's what fans are concerned about. Because we haven't seen Tucker make a move, right?
Yeah, but
like that yet.
Look at what he's done with this. Just look at the players, okay? Yep. When Mark D'Antonio gets hired, I don't know if a single John L. Smith recruit left or player left. Like nobody was sort of sent off from the program. You know, like there was not a lot of turnover. That was part of what he did from the very beginning, was keeping continuity within the roster, within the coaching staff. And Mel Tucker has not been afraid to do it very differently. And I would be surprised on his coaching staff if he thinks there's a move that needs to be made if he's not quick to do it. I mean, he's the man making $9.5 million. He knows he's getting paid to win. And if he thinks there's a reason that something that could prevent him from winning or something that needs to be tweaked, a change somewhere on his staff to help them win more, I'd be stunned if he doesn't make it. I just would.
Okay.
And so if he doesn't make it with Hazelton this offseason, I'm not going to think, boy, he just doesn't see it. I'm going to think they all went through a year where they knew defensively their personnel just didn't cut it. And they knew they were just kind of trying to get by. And now let's see what they do next year. Let's see who they bring in. They got the linebacker from UNLV sitting next to Mel Tucker at the basketball game the other day. Let's see what they do in the transfer portal. Let's see what they do with player development. Let's see what they do with scheme next year. Now, if this looks the same next year, then it's like, dude.
Yeah, but big-time programs don't wait, Graham.
Well,
when there's a deficiency in their program, they get rid of it and fix it.
Okay.
They do. I'm saying if you're going to play big boy football.
Some do. Some.
Bama, Clemson, Georgia, they all do. If there's a big deficiency, if their defense ever played like that, defensive coordinator, gone.
Sometimes.
Oklahoma, they fired Bob Stoops.
In the season.
Yeah.
Right. And it didn't do him any good that year. And here's sometimes it's just shitty leadership. Sometimes it's a coach who's a coward he needs somebody to blame. And so middle of the year, he's like, this ain't going well. This guy's going to fall on his sword. There's a big difference between firing a guy when it's necessary, getting rid of a guy and trying to do it with some tact, and basically being a fucking coward and just doing it. A lot of coaches are cowards. We see that all the time.
Like that Southern Belle, Brian Kelly?
Brian Kelly's got some coward in him. There's a part of me that wanted Notre Dame, and I don't usually root for I don't have a problem with Notre Dame, but I want them to be in a conference where I'd ever root for them. Part of me wanted them to somehow win a national title this year, just to say,
not win the national title, but just make the college football playoff.
Yeah,
I could have taken Notre Dame over Cincy.
Well, no, not fun. Me. I couldn't have dealt with that. Not this year.
Yeah,
not this year. Yeah. Well, no, that's yeah. I think this is going to be. I think there's an opportunity here for Michigan State if they can solve some things to leave the game feeling like, hey, wait a second, that was good, that was important. We absolutely did something here. If you want to feel good about yourself, if you want to feel like you've done something, and you've got money that you want to get working for you in the market, you've got investment questions, we're thinking about retirement, Social Security benefits, saving for your kids' college education if they deserve to go to college. That's a big if sometimes. You should call Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. These guys are strategic wealth managers. They are fiduciaries for their clients. That means their clients' interests, your interests, come first. They aren't going to try to get you into some hot product or investment trend. They are going to try to assess your specific needs and what your goals are and help you invest wisely. And it doesn't matter where you live. They're based in Southeast Michigan, but they've got clients all over the country. Distance doesn't scare them. You can find them at northcoastwm.com. Give them a call, 248-626-2000. That's 248-626-2000. Or shoot them an email at info@northcoastwm.com. All right, we're going to take a really, really quick break here and then come back. And I don't know why I said really, really quick. It'd be a standard break. It's just my usual bullshit trying to tease something, I guess. But you've got some exceptional hot takes, and we're going to dig into all of them next. Couch in the Room.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen, Bar, or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. Trust matters, especially when it's your money. Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management work hard to build a relationship of trust by providing thoughtful, objective guidance and placing your interests first. Invest with knowledgeable financial advisors who are on your side. Call today and tell them you're a friend of the show for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. 248-626-2000 and ask for Mark or Jay. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Find Couch in the Room podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Sky Mint Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to do better, love better, look better, just be better every damn day of their lives. And our Sunday night show, presented by Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. Give them a call, 248-626-2000. That's 248-626-2000. Or shoot Mark and Jay an email at info@northcoastwm.com. It is time to dig into your hot takes. Jason, are you ready?
Yes, man. Eric Schultz up first. Number 1, in 5 years, we'll be mentioning Jaden Akins in the same breath as Cassius and Denzel. 2, the Big Ten East is a Power 5 conference. The Big Ten West is the AAC with better academic institutions. Oh, shoot, I just turned the thing off. There we go. Sorry, turned the screen off. 3, the Peach Bowl is the less exciting than the 2 Florida ones and the Fiesta, but the fact that it's drivable will help Michigan State.
Distance and cost is no doubt will help some people get there. And you can be back by New Year's to watch the Georgia-Michigan game. And I'm sure if you're bloodthirsty, you're hoping, if you're a Michigan State fan, that goes one way. But there are some advantages to it. Jaden Akins, he has become everybody's favorite. And I think it's part of it. For a while, I thought it's just because he's a guy who glides above the rim and is fun to watch. But you watch that last game against Toledo and his first or second rebound, flat-footed, in traffic, taller player. Like, there's some grit to him. And he obviously can shoot the basketball a little bit. I think his responsibility is more of a point guard type player later in his career will be interesting to watch. But no doubt he's a find, and he's a guy they're going to have for several years.
Dominic, number 1, 2 weeks ago, Jason brought up the possibility of Harbaugh being fired if he didn't beat Ohio State, and Graham emphatically objected. Yet earlier in the season, Graham absolutely said that Harbaugh wouldn't survive losing to both Michigan State and Ohio State. Can we hire a Graham receipts guy? 2, that Iowa offense belongs in the history books next to Hoover blankets, the Voistead Act, and Graham's matchup proof takes. Holy fucking shit, that can't be real. Hearing multiple reports that Dave Warner had to be hospitalized due to the 7-hour erection Patriots gave him. 3, can we stop the whole anything is cynical shit? The West is fucking 0-8, and we just are we just going to keep pretending that it's not oh my God, this isn't just a playoff tune-up for the East. Enough.
Again, it's
sorry,
large.
Dominic.
You're
Sorry about that.
You're good. It's largely an Ohio State issue, but this year it wasn't, and it's true. Like the Wisconsin, Wisconsin. Just when you think in this year that like they're competitive, they're a decent team. Maybe they're on. Maybe they'll give somebody fits. They blow it in the last week of the season. They're gonna have to look at it, and you don't have to go east west. You can go north south. Michigan State and Purdue. You could divide that line differently. I'm not saying just sending MSU over there fixes anything, but you could definitely divvy up the divisions slightly differently and come.
So is Harbaugh untouchable now? Now that he won his big win, now that he won the Big Ten championship,
certainly not getting fired this year,
right? Because people were telling me that he was untouchable 2 years ago. Just ridiculous.
Well, yeah, certainly he buys himself more years than he's going to want to be there. I don't see Jim Harbaugh coaching another 10 years at Michigan. Do you?
I guess so. After that.
No, but I don't think he wants to
over
do that, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
like right. I don't. That was a big deal. He to his credit, he got over the thing he couldn't get over, but
they're acting like he's 5-1 against Ohio State.
Well, people are
the other way around.
No, the people are, and Michigan fans are very excited, as they should be about this moment.
Yes,
but you're right. There is a. If you are a college student, you probably have no memory of Michigan's last Big Ten championship, right?
None.
It was 2004.
No,
no memory of live, I should say.
Oh yeah.
So I guess if you're like a fifth-year senior and you have a good memory, then maybe. But largely, they've been, they haven't done this in forever. And you're right. There needs to be a little bit of a humility that comes with that fact, but
that's impossible.
I'm not going to see it.
Greg Hardwick, number one, best thing about the Peach Bowl is the time slot, primetime game, no other games on. 2, MSU is a great team when they don't turn over the ball. And 3, Izzo must told the students to lay off on Hauser.
It was very interesting on Saturday. The tone towards Joey Hauser changed. And I think it was, I don't know if Izzo said anything to the student, to the Izzo, and if there was some letter that was sent or anything, or if it was just people seeing the quote that got shared pretty widely.
I think it's that.
About how it had affected him. It was noticeable, the difference. And it was almost like, and I'm sure social media wasn't entirely kind, but it was, you could hear in the Izzone from his peers, the come on, Joey, there was a level of encouragement.
Isn't that almost worse, though?
No, because it wasn't pity. It wasn't pity. It didn't come across as pity. It did not. It did not come. I think, look, at this point.
Come on, Joey. That doesn't come off as pity.
They booed him in the last time. They
Yeah.
booed him the previous game when he messed up. I just think it's, you're trying to get a kid's confidence back, to get his head back with it. It ain't going to help if you're booing him. It ain't, if your goal is to have Michigan State be the best team it can be, booing Joey Hauser until he's a shell of himself does not accomplish that.
I agree with that. No booing, but I don't think you have to go, come on, Joey.
Well, you should just be whatever you – I think they were
nice
being
rebound,
genuine.
Joey. Just don't say anything. When he does something, cheer. When he doesn't, don't boo. That's pretty much it, right?
Well, that's what they did.
All right.
Largely.
Steve Douglas. Number 1, Walker would have been better off not touching the ball at all versus Ohio State. 2, my jaw is still on the floor from the Fox announcer saying Bo is smiling, looking down from heaven.
Oy.
3, hoping Georgia destroys Michigan. I remember their fans after MSU Bama.
Yeah, no, there was. I remember that too because I wrote a column that did not age well, by the way. About how it was like not the end of Michigan State being up there, and they immediately went 3-9 and never got back up there. But when you looked at their roster at that point, it wasn't as easy to see. And the points of the column, if you went back through it, were largely correct. Nonetheless, I'm going to stop trying to defend myself here. The Bo Schembechler stuff, it's got to stop. Just got to stop. It's getting like, are they nobody paying any attention?
Did you see Gus Johnson after the game hugging Cade McNamara?
It's a little much. Maybe don't do that.
Right?
Maybe don't do that. I mean, I don't know. I didn't.
My Michigan buddy says Gus Johnson has no bias, and then I showed him that video. He didn't respond. I'm just going, what else do you need to see that Gus Johnson?
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Loves Michigan.
So the other thing, I actually like Steve's first one here a lot too. The idea that he's right. If Kenneth Walker had missed the Ohio State game due to injury, instead of playing through it, would have helped, because then Michigan State gets shredded, and it's like, well, they didn't have Kenneth Walker, and he also didn't play. And when he plays, he's, I don't think it would have won him the Heisman. I think that was taken care of when Alabama did what they did at Georgia. But I think it would have served Walker better. That said, that shouldn't be who you are. You shouldn't be skipping games for your own personal gain. If you're healthy enough to play and it's a huge game, you got to try and play.
Tell that to NBA guys. Dan Grafe, number 1, I'm sure Spartan fans will handle the game against Narduzzi well, especially if the defense has a bad day. 2, Iowa might be the worst Big Ten West opponent in the Big Ten championship game ever. And 3, both MSU and Michigan will be preseason top 8, and both will disappoint by the end of the season.
So a couple things. One, last year Northwestern lost to Michigan State, which was a pretty bad team last year. So Northwestern wasn't that good last year. They just got lucky that Ohio State was down a receiver, I think. If Michigan had been down Corum or something like that, it would have been maybe a little more competitive. Maybe a little more competitive. The Narduzzi thing's interesting because I do think if Michigan State had not been able to extend Tucker the way they have, say he was coaching at LSU or Florida right now or somewhere else, that they would have gone after Narduzzi potentially. Narduzzi might be coaching Michigan State in this game. I mean, who knows? I don't know where Narduzzi's head was in that. But Narduzzi has sort of taken Pitt to a pretty high level at this point. I think Michigan State he would have been very attractive to MSU, and I think the timing would have been interesting for him.
Ryan Allen, number 1, thank God Bama won now, so we can get Bama versus Cincy and Michigan versus Georgia, and we can see how far Michigan is from an SEC powerhouse. Make no mistake about this, the Georgia team will destroy Michigan. When Michigan can't run on its opponent, you're going to see a massive blowout, calling it now. 2, every time we think Izzo is falling off a little, he reminds us why he's the best coach in the sport. Izzo has taken preseason top 20 and 40 team and made them a legit top 3 defensive team. And now they look like they might be on the verge of being a great outside shooting team. 3, Lions still need to have an end-of-season discussion about firing Campbell. The decisions that this man makes is just Bush League, even though the Lions won today.
It was like he doesn't make head coaching decisions.
If he coached against Mike Zimmer 17 times, I think we would do well.
Zimmer struggled today.
It's terrible.
Kirk Cousins struggled at times too.
He's ass.
I mean, it's
Minnesota's ass.
It's a frustrating.
Minnesota fools so many gamblers.
And so here's the thing. Here's the beauty. If you rather be the Lions than the Vikings, because the Vikings, they've still got to get old. Hold on. Let me explain why.
All right. Hold on.
No, this does not fit the spin. This does not fit the spin.
You got to play it out.
I know. But what I mean by this is my old take on the idea that you don't want to be in the middle. You don't want to be stuck in the middle, especially in a league where you got a finite time before the salary cap bites you. And if you've whiffed, you're stuck because now you have to get old, declined, find a new quarterback, and then start from the bottom. Like that's what Minnesota still has to do. You'd rather be at the bottom.
What do the Lions still have to do?
They're at the bottom. You'd rather be at the bottom than think you're a contender and be a long way from it.
I'd rather think I'm a contender and actually play some meaningful fucking football games in the NFL once in a while. A league full of parity. It's ridiculous.
Do you think U of M gets destroyed by Cincinnati or by Georgia?
I don't know about destroyed. I think they win by 10 points. That's not being destroyed.
No,
right? I'm not taking the Alabama game into account. I think they're going to be a different team when they play Michigan. I don't see a blowout, but I see them winning by 10.
It's a big game for like Cade McNamara. Like he's going to have to be very good. And I'm not saying he can't be. I'm just saying like it will be a hard game for them. Matchup wise, just like Pitt is not great for MSU matchup-wise, it's not a great matchup for what Michigan does best. But Michigan is playing at a very high level now. So what Michigan did to Ohio State, I'm not going to say Michigan can't win that game. I'm just not. I mean,
how did Michigan State beat this team?
It's pretty incredible.
That stuff.
Yeah. How good is it? Right there is why Kenneth Walker should have, like, at the end of the Michigan game, just dropped the mic and said, Heisman motherfuckers, like, what do you think? What am I doing here? Like, he had a 58-yard run, like a 33-yard touchdown run. Like, it was an incredible game by him.
Yeah, but then Haskins had 5 against Ohio State.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. Yeah.
Liliana, number 1, the Spartans have been disrespected yet again by not getting in a New Year's Day Bowl. 2, this choice adds a little more interest in pitting, pun intended, Mel versus Pat in the Peachy Keen Chicken Bowl. 3, predict Aiden Hutchinson will win the Heisman because of blue privilege.
So a couple things. One, Liliana, she writes New Year's Six Bowl here, but they are in a New Year's Six Bowl. I mean, they're not on New Year's Day, but it's still a New Year's Six Bowl. It's one of the games, so they didn't get disrespected by that. It may not be the most prestigious of those New Year's Six games, but it's the least prestigious of them. But it's one of them. It's kind of it's definitely the sort of the stepchild. It's like who was the Fab Five? Who was it? Ray Jackson? It's the Ray Jackson of the Fab Five. That's what it is.
I loved Ray Jackson, Jimmy King.
Yeah, but so anyway, the Aiden Hutchinson, there was a big media push to get him in. There's no doubt to get him in the conversation.
Well, he has been dominating,
but he's been amazing.
Yeah,
and we'll get into it a little more because there's some Kenny Willekes comparison stuff. Kenny Willekes didn't do to offenses quite the level of Aiden in terms of. I mean, Kenny had some incredible numbers. He was an incredible player. But Aiden, you're talking about just from what NFL scouts think, too. You're talking about a guy who might be the number 1 pick or at least a top 10 pick. And Kenny wasn't that. Now, Kenny proved them again wrong. He's stuck in the NFL like he always does. Like he's an impressive person. And the other problem is it is an award that is imperfect. Not only does it usually go to quarterbacks and shit like that, but it also, you have to be a really good team. And Kenny Willekes, unfortunately for him, was on a bunch of very average Michigan State teams. So you're never going to get that look. Just being a good statistical and dominant defensive player is a
and Hutchinson's making different kind of plays too. He's like pushing a left tackle like right into the quarterback or the tackle, right?
I mean, the Michigan State.
I love Kenny, but he didn't make those kind of plays.
Michigan State won because they eventually just said, "Screw it, we're going to hold this guy,"
right?
And that was smart. And there are times where the best thing you can do against Hutchinson is take the holding penalty.
Jim Harden, number 1, 2 tickets purchased to the Peach Bowl, hoping for a Couch in the Rube event in Atlanta. Send us your jet, Jim. 2, Jaden Akins becoming my favorite player this year, and his defensive rebounding and hustle hitting threes is a bonus. 3, Max Christie is smooth, like Graham eating a groovy donut, just comes naturally.
See, he's on the Max Christie train. Yeah, I don't know. We probably won't have a Couch in the Rube event in Atlanta because it'll just be me down there. But
I'll go. I'll go to Hotlanta.
We're gonna have to figure that out with the show too, because there's a lot of obviously
we just won't do it.
That's not a thing.
Yeah,
that's not a thing.
Lydia trip, number 1, Peach Bowl is nice. 2, Michigan fans are insufferable. 3, I didn't root for Michigan because they would have not rooted for Michigan State.
No, she's largely right there.
Good. You're not supposed to.
Yeah.
If you're a Michigan fan, you don't root for Michigan State, right?
No, and
I'm a Big Ten guy.
Well, like I've said before, and I won't drop the card I usually drop to
win this argument. Right, damn it.
No, I won't do that. The Peach Bowl is nice. Like that's a great way to describe the Peach Bowl. It's nice, right? It's like it's not bad. It's not bad, and I think if people weren't saying maybe the Fiesta Bowl against maybe Notre Dame, like if that wasn't even ever a possibility, if like, hey, maybe they can get in and get the Peach Bowl against Pitt, that would have been cool. The problem was there was a possibility that was up there that was a little bit, just had a little more gravitas.
You sound like you're trying to set up your friend with an ugly person. That's what you're trying to set your friend up with the Peach Bowl. Oh, you know what? They're not bad looking. I mean, they have a great personality. I mean, he's got a good job.
And I'll say this: the Peach Bowl, and they're right. I was in on the teleconference today. By the way,
how great was that?
Did you see that the F-bomb?
I did not.
Okay,
you sent the video to me, but it was the whole.
Okay,
presser.
We'll play that at some point this week. Maybe we'll play it on for our Tuesday night show. So Matt Wenzel gets on And he's been sick all week. He's had a rough week. He's trying to get on late, and he thinks he's muted and all this stuff, and he just says something like, "Oh, fuck the fucking, raise hand features what they're using. The fuck." Like this. It's like during our Doozy's opening statement or something. It was outstanding. And to watch Audrey Dahlgren's face, because she cannot hide. She's like, "Oh my God, what is happening here?" It was truly a great moment, and a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue. Unbelievable place for dinner, for a date night, for lunch with a friend, just a beer after work. Outstanding beer selection. The American Stout continues to be my favorite. Unbelievable place to go on a chilly winter's night.
Ryan Rockwell, number one, Saban coach, Alabama is unbettable. Don't cover when they should and win when they shouldn't. What the fuck? 2, Big Ten West is ass. 3, Mark and Jay at North Coast are great guys. Met with them and feel great about the direction of my investments will take.
You can do what Ryan did. And if you've got questions about investing for anything, give Mark and Jay a call, 248-626-2000, 248-626-2000, and let them know that Couch and the Rube sent you. Get a free consultation. See if they are a fit for you. And I'm very glad to see that it's working out for Ryan. The same. This is I love number one here because it's a total spite deal. Mm-hmm. It is. I mean, it kills you because Alabama didn't do well a lot of times for gamblers this year.
Yeah, but you're telling me you watched that Auburn game where they had to go to overtime, the stupid 2-point rule. They scored 3 points deep into the fourth quarter, and you didn't think Georgia somehow was going to get them. I just don't believe people were thinking that Bama was going to win that game.
No.
I just don't believe it.
And it's interesting, though, when you start looking at Georgia's schedule, Georgia really didn't have any big wins either. I mean, people start looking at Cincinnati's schedule, and then you look at Georgia's schedule, and you go, wait a second. And we just sort of assume. And they beat a lot of, teams this year. But
they also dominated at points.
At points.
Yeah.
What would have been really interesting is if Alabama had lost. Would Alabama still been in the conference championship game if they had lost to Auburn?
No, right?
Maybe not. We should know that. Let me look. Hold on. Give me some Hoff.
All right. Hoff.
Feliz Navidad, Cockburn. Feliz Navidad, Cockburn. Feliz Navidad.
Yo spero, señorita leva.
He got it! Feliz Navidad, Cockburn. Feliz Navidad.
Okay. I'm looking at the SEC standings here. I don't know if Ole Miss would have. No, they wouldn't have because Ole Miss head-to-head, Alabama won that game. So Alabama was going either way out of the SEC West. So if Alabama had the extra loss and then done what they did, it would have been very interesting. I think they might have. I mean, you would have been hard to not put them in, right? After you do that to Georgia, who's supposed to be the clear number one,
right?
That would have been a very very interesting situation. But Ryan, I'm with you, man. The spite, like there's a guy right now who's going to bet against Alabama. That's a spite bet, total spite bet coming from Ryan. Just be careful.
I felt so dumb after that game, though. It's like, God damn it. The Uper, number one, Joey Hauser needs to go to Skymint from the midweek show. It had me cracking up. I hope Izzo isn't a listener. It's legal.
Yeah.
2, relearned an expensive lesson on Saturday. Never bet against Saban.
Yeah.
3, the Peach Bowl on December 30th is a great spotlight, but Pitt is a bad matchup.
Yeah, you don't want a spotlight if you're going to get creamed. But they should be healthier. I think their offense will be good. It's going to be it's a dry track indoors, all that. So I think that stuff is good for their offense.
Dry track.
A dry track. Well, yeah, it's better than a wet track, is what I mean. Like it's
true.
You don't want
to slip on a
you know what I'm
wet
saying?
track.
Yeah. No, maybe Joey Hauser did go to Skymint, and that would have been that. If I was coaching Joey Hauser, that would be one of my things. Like we are going to introduce cannabis into your life,
like during the game.
No, well, maybe just before the game, not during the game, but after the game. Just generally get him in a better place. If you feel like Joey Hauser many days a week, you should go to Skymint. There are locations throughout Michigan, including 3 in the greater Lansing area. Go to skymint.com for location information and daily specials. And when you go to Skymint, any location, use the Couch and the Rube promo code, Couch and Rube 20 for 20% off. I was just there earlier this weekend. They treat you well. If you have questions, they're very knowledgeable. They'll help you. They'll talk you through them. Just a great place. Go to skymint.com for location information and specials.
Alan Bolter, number one, Roll Tide. Bama beating Georgia in the SEC championship game made Michigan making the playoff far more tolerable, knowing they'll have to play the Dogs in the semi. 2, as dumb as the Leaders and Legends division names were, at least it was evenly split in competition in the conference. The current East-West split isn't working. Iowa was a joke. And 3, Amani Bates was the most overhyped player ever coming out of high school. He's a non-factor at Memphis. They can keep him. He's not worth the headache.
So, real quick, let's look at the Legends and Leaders divisions while we're up here. All right, Legends was Iowa, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern. Leaders: Illinois, Indiana, Ohio State, Penn State, Purdue, Wisconsin. It is more even in a lot of ways, but if Ohio State's the best team by a ways, then it doesn't do you any good. And there have been years where Ohio State and Wisconsin and Penn State are the best 3 teams. I don't know. It was better. I'm not saying they don't need to look at this. But if it's just an Ohio State thing, it doesn't do you any good. Like the other teams have to be up there, for sure, for it to make any sort of sense.
G.E. Miller, number 1, rooting against Narduzzi is going to be as hard as it gets. Was hoping he'd replace D'Antonio and still think of him as a lifelong Spartan. 2, D'Antonio has to be on Team Narduzzi. 3, Saban is having perverse thoughts about facing Michigan.
So number 3 here is interesting. Saban hates Michigan. Hated Michigan when he was at Michigan State. Like there's a part of Saban that still loves Michigan State. And I don't know that they're going to get to meet each other because I don't think that Michigan's going to beat Georgia, although I wouldn't be. And I don't know that this Bama team, despite what we saw, and maybe they've just turned a corner to all, I've seen a lot of Bama this year that look fairly pedestrian for Bama standards. But I also, a motivated Saban, getting his team ready, I wouldn't want to fuck with that. I just wouldn't. You just see what happens. It's just scary. You know why what happened to Michigan State every time they faced Saban. You know why it's happened now, because when Saban gets his team, I don't know. I mean, he can't do it every week, but when he does it for those specific games where he's trying to make a statement and his program's trying to make a statement, you don't want to be on the other end of that.
Pookie Bear. I'm going to sound like a bitter asshole, but here it goes. Number 1, last night's game ruined the season for me. Completely sucked all the good vibes out of it. 2, October 30th is now the least meaningful win in rivalry history, and it doesn't matter. 3, I would have rather lost to Michigan and then go 1-11.
Wow. That's depressing, Pookie Bear. A couple things. One, I get that what Michigan's doing, if you're a Michigan State fan, is painful to watch. But Michigan State still got the win against them this year. That's still and I'll tell you when that's going to matter, or when it could matter. If next year Michigan State wins again, and then Mel Tucker's 3-0 against Harbaugh, they'll say, yeah, well, we won a Big Ten title and playoff. Well, you'll be able to say, yeah, our school's done that too, but we own you. You know what I mean? Like Michigan State's got a chance to go 3-0 and sort of further that. I mean, it's absolutely a meaningful win, even though Michigan's gone on to do what it did. Because Michigan State fans are so much more in Michigan's heads than they used to be. The reason Michigan fans, after Michigan State loses to Ohio State the way it did, or after Michigan beats Ohio State, turn and start giving Michigan State fans shit, is because they care. Because you're part of their world now. They can't escape you. They didn't used to care. They just used to be dismissive. They're not dismissive anymore. You've made it in terms of that. That totally has changed the rivalry. It's not a meaningless win.
Craig Robinson, number 1, love Narduzzi, but feel that MSU gets slighted continuously by the committee. MSU feels like an afterthought to them. 2, Gary Barta is as stale as his football team's midfield offense. Both were embarrassing. And 3, fake slides by a quarterback are weak sauce. Looking at you, Pickett.
Yeah, we talked about it. You can't. That's got to be the whole idea. Is you're taking advantage of something that's meant there to protect you,
but it's not illegal. So what he did, I mean, I get it. Smart.
I just think what you do is the second you look like you're going to slide, you're down. That's what they have to say. If you
or someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah, you have to. It's
because no offense, if I'm a defender, next time you go and try to do that slide, I'm going to take your head off.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm going to get thrown out of the game.
Thought he was faking it. Thought he was faking the slide.
To his number 1, Craig was hot over. He thought Michigan State was getting slighted
today. Even
no, over the weekend.
Over the weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Michigan State wound up number 10 in the country. That feels fairly respectful, though. This is a 10-2 football team, and that's about where they were. The year I think they were 8, where they were the year that they lost to Ohio State and were 10-2 and went to the Cotton Bowl. But one of the things that you kind of know if you're Michigan State now is this is what it takes to get into the 12, and eventually the 12 might be the playoff. But 10-2 seasons for Michigan State, that's the number, and we've sort of seen that. And in both those years, it included a win over Michigan and a loss to Ohio State. So you can't just go 10-2 without beating anybody. But that 10-2 is it, and you got a really clear picture now of what it takes to get there.
Is it possible the Fiesta was like nervous about Michigan State fans like traveling?
I don't think so. MSU has a pretty good bowl history traveling.
That's what I thought as well. I was just trying to give Craig an answer. I didn't know.
No, this was committee based. This was not bowl based, from what I understand at that level. And Michigan State was the lowest ranked. I think if Michigan State had been higher ranked, they would have gone to the Fiesta Bowl. The just in the pecking order and all that sort of stuff. Michigan State was the lowest ranked at large team that got in.
Gavin Haas, number 1, Michigan State basketball is winning the Natty. 2, MSU will win the Big Ten championship next year in football and make the playoffs. And 3, this has been the best possible outcome of this season. Peach Bowl, baby.
Gavin is like the antithesis of Pookie Bear here. It's like all the optimism in the world.
They could go 1-11. I don't give a shit.
Pookie, you got to get with Gavin and talk it out. You'll feel a little better. And look, I think if you feel good about the Peach Bowl, that's great because that's the game you're in. And again, it's not a bad game. It's only because the best comparison is this. There are, when teams are disappointed about being in a New Year's Six game or in the Outback Bowl or whatever because they lost a late game and they had a chance maybe to get in the playoff or something. That's why that happens. Michigan State and Pitt both won their most recent games. Neither one is in that scenario, so there's different than that. But Michigan State for the first time had a chance at a little something more maybe. And it wasn't much more. It was another New Year's Six game. It was just a game that maybe a little more attractive of a vacation spot, more attractive brand of an opponent. And I'm not sure this Fiesta Bowl not against Notre Dame, but against Oklahoma State would have felt any better than this necessarily. It would have felt like a cooler destination maybe, but certainly not a better opponent. Better matchup, but not a better opponent, no more cachet or anything.
Bo McJunkins, number 1, Iowa's offense couldn't score if they were a Make-A-Wish kid. 2, Joel Klatt should seek medical attention for the raging hard-on he had when doing that Michigan game for 4 hours. And 3, Gus Johnson said Bo is looking down on Jim. Can someone help these national bozos?
It's bizarre that's a thing. I mean, there's no
Did you see the hug post game? Have you seen the video?
Yeah,
Gus Johnson.
the video.
Oh, God.
Yeah, don't do that, Gus. And nobody,
Kirk Herbstreit can't talk about the game that he's
broadcast. And nobody underneath we can't predict the game, but nobody in the comments right under that video thought anything of it. They thought, Gus is the man.
So, yeah, I was like, what?
Wait a second. Do you not see the issue here? This is not ideal.
If Gus was hugging Peyton Thorne after a game like that, what would Michigan fans say? That he's a homer, right? Jay Riemenschneider, number 1. Michigan is the reigning Big Ten men's basketball and football champs, and as a fan, that's a damn good feeling. And this year has got to be especially cathartic for Harbaugh and his team. 2, Michigan may not have beat Georgia or Bama because they are supremely talented, and in Bama's case, supremely coached. But I said on here after the Michigan State game, I wasn't feeling doom and gloom because I felt this was a different Harbaugh coach team, and it's proven to be. 3, it always sucks to lose to Michigan State, but Paul Bunyan can retire and take up permanent residence in East Lansing if it means Michigan gets to this point every 3 or so years. And I know all Spartan fans would say the same.
Yeah, the playoff's the playoff. You win the Big Ten. And obviously you don't want to not have you don't want to have your rival owning you or having a grip on the rivalry. And part of what made Michigan State's rise is sort of the order they did it. They took hold of the rivalry and then they won at a very high level. And for them, that was incredibly meaningful. But, yeah, if every Michigan State fan, as much as that October 30th win meant, would reverse the situation with Michigan right now and gladly take the Big Ten title, take the loss, and be in the – because what it's ultimately about is getting to the playoff. Now, if you just said the Big Ten title and you had a 12-team playoff and Michigan State was also in it, I don't know if everybody gives that up.
Chris Fletcher, number 1, those who stay for 17 years will be champions. 2, more Hauser in the post. Draw fouls, get to the line, see the ball go through the basket. Confidence grows, also a willing passer. And 3, many of MSU's turnover issues are due to quickly pushing the ball, and the trade-off is worth it. And everybody's favorite bonus take, quiet kids in the other room is the greatest and scariest thing in the world.
I've heard that from parents. Like when there's silence in the other room, you're like, eventually it's just too quiet. Like somebody's up to something that they shouldn't be up to. I'm with you a little bit on the turnovers with Michigan State, and I don't think you start to look at the numbers of their point guards, and they've been, turning the ball over a lot of times, 3 times a game, and that's too much. But I don't think it's. I don't know. I don't know that it's as bad as at least the last few games. It has not been a huge issue because they haven't been really bad turnovers. They haven't been the runouts. They haven't been. You can deal with the turnover where you step out of bounds here and there, and you have time to reset your defense and those sort of things as well.
Carl Mylock, number 1, Hutch for Heisman is bullshit. Comparable stats to Willikis in 2019, and there's no argument to put him over Walker. 2, Michigan fans need to pipe down. I swear they do not know how to handle success. And 3, the Big Ten needs to realign the conference. The East is loaded, and the 2 best teams in the Big Ten don't play in the championship each year. The game last night, total yawn fest. And bonus take, comparing this Michigan team to the Miracle on Ice. What the fuck was that?
Wait, was there really that at one point? What was that?
I didn't hear it. Multiple people told me.
Was it Gus Johnson?
I don't know who it was, but I don't know if it was someone on Twitter or something. Someone compared it to the Miracle on Ice.
Well, who it is matters. I mean,
I understand.
Jack off on Twitter. I mean, it's not. Hold on, let's see. Oh, let me see
talk about Hondo like that.
Let me see if I can find it.
Feliz Navidad, Cockburn. Y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish
I think it was on the broadcast. Oh, it was Harbaugh compared Michigan's win over Ohio State to the Miracle on Ice.
Mm.
You don't want to do that because that sounds like they were going to outclass you. But I guess it might have had that sort of feel. It wasn't yesterday. Okay, I was. You know what? If that's how it feels, Harbaugh's old enough to be around and know what. I mean, if he thinks it's that miraculous,
that was not the Miracle on Ice. It's not. That Russian team was supposed to be dominant, right? I don't know.
It was a little different. It was a little different. But nobody's ever accused Harbaugh of being like the most.
Lifetime contract.
Yeah, I mean, not sophisticated orator is what I meant. It's just not his thing.
Jeff Haddis. Number 1, the Heisman Trophy seems like a what have you done for me lately instead of a season of work kind of award. 2, Mel Tucker will be 3-0 versus Harbaugh this time next year. And 3, it's hard to watch Michigan State play fluff games like Toledo. Give me more games that matter.
The good news for Michigan State is that they're making easy work, although Toledo came back a little bit. But, there are a lot of high major teams that would struggle against that club, believe it or not. The Heisman Award, there is something to this where late in the year there's been a lot of, last second jostling. But I ultimately think you look at the body of work of Aiden Hutchinson, it's pretty damn good. And part of it is the biggest games are late in the year. What happened with Alabama, Georgia should absolutely matter to the Heisman. When you have a young quarterback have a game like that on that stage against that defense.
And if Kenneth Walker had 100 yards against Ohio State, he'd still be high up in the mix, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And ultimately, it takes a perfect storm for a running back or somebody else to win. It takes a quarterback, a year where a quarterback really isn't there. And all year you kind of had that a little bit. And then all of a sudden, you get a kid who sort of, Bryce Young kind of just won the thing.
Sunshine Spartan, number 1, people are ass. So I go to get my booster shot at Publix grocery store. The guy before me was complaining about getting his second shot, saying he's not a sheep, then offered to give money to just get the sticker. He ended up getting it, but for God's sake, it's in a frickin' pandemic. 2, Michigan winning makes college football unwatchable. 3, the Oxford parents and the shooter should share a cell in prison. And 4, bonus take, Elf has replaced Christmas Vacation as the best Christmas movie.
Oh, what do you think about that?
Absolutely not.
Elf's good.
It is good.
Zoe Deschanel is great in Elf. So is Will Ferrell.
All right.
But yeah.
LeBron James is good at basketball.
I know. I don't know where I was going with that.
Christmas Vacation's undefeated.
I don't know about that.
17-0.
It's good.
Stop
Christmas
it.
occasion's very good.
Stop
It's no Love Actually, but it's good.
That doesn't even count.
It's what? Of course it counts. Half the people on here, they're. I mean, our less vocal listeners are Love Actually fans. I think that's.
Keep telling yourself that.
I think that's
The people that don't say anything are Love Actually fans.
Real quick, how many people do you think just can't watch these playoffs with Michigan in it? How many Michigan State fans are like?
I think you want to watch because you want to watch Michigan lose. I think it's only unwatchable if Michigan's hammering Georgia.
And New Year's Eve is
like watching that game against Iowa. I couldn't watch. That was brutal. I'm not going to watch Iowa punt on 3rd down.
And I thought they
wave the white flag. It's ridiculous.
They were done doing the New Year's Eve bullshit for the like that. I mean that if you've got somebody in your, I'm beyond the stage of really caring about New Year's Eve. And during a pandemic, I actually think it's great to have something that's entertaining that keeps people at home.
The most overrated holiday.
But
of all time.
There were periods in my life where, like, that was a holiday I did stuff for, and my significant other might not have been like, "Hey, let's build this around the college football playoff semifinals." You know what I mean? Like that. I just don't. It's disrespectful to a large segment of people.
Sunshine Spartan.
I
read that. Chris Eastlick, number 1. Graham Yoda and Aussie Jason have nothing on Southern accent. Brian Kelly. I know. 2, not to be a Rex Road, but there are only a few times in life where you can actually get plus money on Bama, and I took it.
Smart man.
3, 3, I'd rather watch Love Actually for 24 hours. Hold on a second. I'd rather watch Love Actually for 24 hours of 2018 Dave Warner offense than what Brian Ferentz put out there on Saturday. Kirk Ferentz would punt on the Michigan 20 if he could. And bonus, there's no college football tradition like the chest pass footballs into giant inflatable soda cans to make college more affordable, halftime contest.
Yeah, there's some weird halftime.
It's always been like that, though. It's a chest pass contest. I mean, I think people should stop drinking Dr. Pepper because of it.
Yeah?
It's complete ass. I mean, come on, have some of these people throw it from 10 yards where you have to actually throw a football pass. It's just chest pass for 100,000. That's what you get. That's all you have to do for 100K.
If you're not one of these lucky people that just has to throw a chest pass though for 100K, call Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. They can help you save for your college education, or your children's college education, if your kid deserves it. As I always want to mention, these guys are strategic wealth managers, and Jay's a lawyer. Mark's a certified financial planner. Both Spartans, 1995 grad. It doesn't matter where you live. They will, they're happy to do Zoom communications and do that sort of consultation with you. Call them. It's 248-626-2000, 248-626-2000. Email Mark and Jay at info@northcoastwm.com and let them know Couch and Rubes sent you for a free consultation and see if they're a fit for you.
Brian Kelly over under 4 seasons at LSU.
I would go under right now.
Is it because of the Southern accent at the game?
It's a weird.
It's not
fit.
a good start, right?
It's not. Although, and again, in 4 years, it's going to feel long. It's not like I think that's going to go quick. Like it's going to feel long. That said, Brian Kelly, while he may be a dick and he may be not always genuine, he has won everywhere he's been, and he's not been fired despite being maybe responsible for a student manager dying his practice. Like, so
but this is a different level.
Is
fired Coach O after winning a championship.
Yeah, but Coach O, I mean, I would love to see Coach O like diagram an offense. I have no idea what you do.
Well, who's that supposed to be?
It's Coach O.
Oh, I thought it was Cookie Monster. Paul McKenna, number 1, analysts that can't resist being huge fans/homers should sit out games involving their team or any analysis involving their team if they can't be impartial. 2, punting with 10 minutes left and down 3 scores should require shamelessly waving a big white flag. Pathetic. Agree. 3, I don't even know what targeting is anymore. College refs are ass. Shirt's available, by the way, if you want to do a live read.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If I just retweeted that again, I'll tweet it out again tomorrow, say. And you can find it on our Facebook page as well, our link to our Shopify store. If you want the Couch and the Rube logo, a couple different sayings we have on a T-shirt or a hoodie for Christmas by December 8th, by the end of this Wednesday, get your orders in, and we'll make sure those get shipped to you by Christmas. And
Can we get an ad in the LSJ?
no, I don't have that kind of power. Who do you think I am?
I don't know. A columnist? Waistline Tucker, number 1. The Michigan Slappies are already completely exhausting. And that's it, because I think Graham left the other 2 out.
I didn't see the other 2 from Waistline Tucker, and I apologize if they were there. But it certainly I don't live in everybody else's sphere, so I don't see the exhaustion. But I can understand that. I mean, you live on Twitter with some of your friends. Is it exhausting?
It's not. No, it hasn't been too bad, other than the Gus Johnson thing that my buddy Jordan just refuses to believe.
But you've
which I
got
don't
one
understand.
buddy, and we like Jordan, by the way. And Jordan, by the way, we don't like Jordan.
Sometimes.
I mean, Jordan's a friend of yours. But Jordan,
literal Larry over here.
Well, I'm saying Jordan is somebody who's able to take being the butt of our jokes here and have a good spirit and still show up
as long
at our
as
live
Michigan
shows.
doesn't lose.
Yeah, I like Jordan.
Yeah,
I'm a fan. I look. Yeah, I
just don't be around him when Michigan loses. He won't talk to you. Ryan Schultz, number 1. Oh, Kirk, that's embarrassing. I worked today and have no idea what happened, but holy shit. 2, 28 MSUD is greater than 2012 MSUD. And 3, I'm so relieved by the outcome of the SEC championship. Go Dogs, and if necessary, roll damn Tide.
So it will be harder for Michigan, obviously, to win a playoff game now. 2018 MSUD over 2012 MSUD. I can see that because 2018's defensive line, and this is before they kind of, I mean, that team was like 7-6 late in the third quarter with no offense and no hope of offense against Ohio State. It was like that against Michigan. They had a bunch of those games. And the 2012 MSU defense, while good, did not have – they had just lost Jarrell Worthy from the previous year. Like they weren't – I don't know. There was something that was missing in the middle of that defense, probably Worthy. And a year later, they were just different than they were in 12.
Molon Lobby Spartan. Number 1, MSU can make it back to the playoffs soon. However, more talent on the lines and skill positions is needed. 2, with the uncertainty at many big-time programs and parity, MSU can quickly become an elite program. We do have a lot to sell. And 3, it's when, not if, U.S. will pull out of the Olympics.
That would be interesting. I keep forgetting this is a Winter Olympic year coming up here.
Is it really?
Yeah, shortly, yeah.
When do they start?
February, I think. Maybe January.
All right.
In the winter, sometime in the winter. So I do know that. I think Michigan State's got a lot going for it. Number 1, they locked up their coach, who knows the expectation is to win at a very high level, and is an aggressive recruiter and doesn't shy away from. I mean, think about what Mel Tucker said back in media day, and even going back to last year, that he's like, he was impatient. Like, it's got to happen now. This isn't some 5-year build. And I didn't want to say mocked it, but it was kind of like, well, that's a nice thought, but that puts a lot of undue pressure on you. And then he went 10-2. Like, that's pretty impressive. And they do have, they put some financial resources into things and facilities. And so it's really up to, they're giving themselves a shot. And it's really up to whether Tucker can do it.
Franco, number 1, the bowl game is considered prestigious. Will be fun. I expect most everyone plays and defense has time to come up with something. 2, never bet against a Saban team. Last time I did, it was 2015. And 3, it truly is brown shoes with gray slacks.
Yeah, black and gray works too, though. Brown works with gray, yeah.
But brown is a classier look, I think.
You think? Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely with blue.
Guy that wears a suit twice every 5 years. Just telling people how to dress.
Yeah. No.
Never bet against a Saban team, though. I'm just sorry. You can't tell me after watching that Auburn game that you didn't feel like Georgia, even though they haven't really played a tough schedule,
I think
could cover that 6.
I think part of it is we had not been paying really close attention to Georgia for 5 or 6 weeks, probably, right?
Yeah.
They just been off the radar doing their thing.
Because the spreads were high with just no value in their game.
And they didn't play a lot of great teams over on that side. So I think that might have been part of the issue. So I'm curious to see what they are. And they didn't look very good especially offensively, against Bama.
Kirby Smart taking those timeouts with him. Andrew Gauthier, last-minute hot takes for you at Graham 30. Number 1, downtown Lansing is way better on Sunday night when no one else is here. 2, if Pickett pulls that fake slide crap against Michigan State, I'm expecting Crouch to launch him into the 3rd row. And 3, the Lions still suck, but that was fun.
The last play was fun. It was fun to hear Lomas Brown like before it was even clear. He knew. It was fun. It was. I don't know.
Was it?
I enjoyed it. I had it on in the background.
Absolute stupidity.
Yeah, but yeah.
Guy went for it on his own 30, up 2 points on 4th down. An all-pro punter. By the way, thanks for the swag.
Yes.
Groovy Donuts.
Great stuff from Groovy
Andrew
Donuts.
and Monica.
And you can get your own Groovy Donut swag, for the holidays, for yourself, or anytime. Go to groovydonuts.com. They've got great stuff there. Order. I got a really cool hoodie from them, and of course you can order our swag too. But we Groovy Donuts is. I love their logos. I love their designs. I love the things they have going there. And
buy both.
Been a great support of the show. No reason not to buy both. Absolutely.
Kyle Riemann, number 1, fuck the Lions 1. 2, MSU will beat Pitt by 10 or more. And 3, what is your opinion on all of the Michigan teams' bowl games?
You know what? Today has been such a fog. I haven't even looked at the. It's a lot of stuff today, by the way, because it's just different deadlines and getting the hot takes in and teleconferences. I haven't even looked at the whole bowl schedule. Tell you what, we've got that. We've got Teresa's weekend and Netflix high notes coming up next. Derek R. Spartan, Nick Palmer, Eric Ziegler, Ken Chu, Kevin from Rochester Hills, Art Darkman Antonio, Mr. Neurotic Pants, so on and so forth coming up next. Let's take one more break. Couch in the Roo presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Roo presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis with stores throughout Michigan. Chances are that you are within half an hour of a Skymint location. There are 3 in the greater Lansing area if you live here. Go to skymint.com for location information for specials. And anytime you're in a Skymint store, use the Couch in the Roo promo code CouchAndRube20. CouchAndRube20 for 20% off. Our show tonight also presented by our friends Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. And you can call Mark and Jay at 248-626-2000. That's 248-626-2000. Any investment questions, if you want to get your money working for you, call Mark and Jay, 248-626-2000, or email them at info@northcoastwm.com. Okay, to the question about the Michigan schools, I didn't realize Eastern Michigan versus Liberty in the Lending Tree Bowl. First of all, good for Michigan. They have all these, winning teams or teams that are bowl eligible. That game in Mobile is an old stadium, classic bowl game. I mean, they change the name of it all the time, but that's a good bowl. Quick Lane Bowl is essentially the Motor City Bowl in Detroit. Not a bad deal for Western Michigan. Cheap trip. Nevada, good opponent there. And also the Arizona Bowl. Somebody gets to go to Arizona. And Tucson, Central Michigan against Boise in the Arizona Bowl. So, yeah, Good stuff. I hadn't even looked at the rest of the ball. I didn't know where the rest of the Big Ten teams were going. Arkansas, Penn State. So here's the question for you, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather the two other Big Ten games in Florida, Arkansas, Penn State in the Outback, Citrus is Iowa versus number 22 Kentucky. Would you rather be in either one of those games than playing Pitt in the Peach Bowl?
I don't think so.
I don't
because
either.
none of these bowl games, they move the needle for me, right? Do you really want to play Kentucky? I think Narduzzi versus Tucker, I guess there's some ties there where it makes it kind of fun and interesting than the other games.
It's the ACC champ, too. You're playing a conference champ. You're playing the best the ACC had to offer this year. And Arkansas.
Okay. Was that great? Was that a great
Well,
thing?
but Arkansas and Kentucky aren't, They're just the teams that made us not know. I mean, Kentucky made us think that Georgia was unbelievable because apparently they suck, too. I'm just kidding. But, no, look, the Fiesta Bowl would have been ideal. Although the Fiesta Bowl is up against, like, the Citrus Bowl and the Outback Bowl. Those will be divided audiences. Notre Dame, Oklahoma State will have more of an audience, but the Penn State-Arkansas game in the Outback will take some away from it. And
thank God for gambling.
Bet on all that stuff.
Nobody watched the shit. There's no gambling. All right, let's get to Treese with their high notes. So thankful for the vaccine is number 1. 2, Tiger King 2 cannot be real life. Who fucking lives like this? 3, Brian Wilson documentary had me bawling. Was not expecting that.
Was this a get the notepad?
No, this was actually off the top of the head, like Jay-Z, I guess. But yeah, Tiger King 2, I know it's something that you would never watch, but it's just, if you get like bananas bonkers high, like Pluto high, and watch it, it's just, you can't believe it is actually real.
So how much different than Tiger King 1 is it?
It's not. It's just bullshit, but they're just slapping something together so they can make more money. But it was interesting when your sky minted up. That's the only way. But the Brian Wilson documentary was fascinating because she had no idea, like, his mental state,
gotcha.
The Beach Boys kind of music and all. It was really good.
No,
I highly recommend that.
I'll check that out, and probably not Tiger King 2, because Tiger King 2 was a moment in time in the early days of the pandemic. You remember, like, when we had nothing, it was like an event. It was like
It's Joe Exotic. It is interesting. Like I said, if you're sky minted up and you want a quick laugh, watch the first episode.
Okay.
And you'll laugh, and then it'll be done. It's just something dumb to watch.
Yeah.
Derek R. Spartan, number 1, this is a tough matchup. Pitt is going to throw all over the field. 2, best possible bowl for recruiting. 3, this team will be a top 10 team again next year. Tucker building for sustainable success. It's hot in here. P.S. We got tickets and would love to buy you guys drinks in Atlanta.
Well, it might just be me, but I'll take your drink because I like drinks.
Fuzzy navel.
Yeah, Tucker did say today, Mel Tucker, that there is tangible value to playing a bowl game in a region you're trying to recruit, and so there is that is undoubtedly a thing, and so I do think that is one of the pluses of this game.
Nick Palmer, number 1, Pitt is a bad matchup. Pickett is going to go off. 2, Saban will take it easy on Cincinnati and only win by 21 points. 3, Peach Bowl gear and Couch in the Roof swag will make an awesome Christmas morning.
Appreciate you, Nick.
Absolutely. Love you, Nick.
The Saban take it easy on Cincinnati. I do think he won't take it easy, but he won't have venom on them like he would Georgia. I can see that game being a 35-17 game. I think Cincinnati will hold it. First of all, Cincinnati defensively is legit. Like, this isn't some team that doesn't belong here. I don't think Cincinnati's.
Yeah, but if you're going to talk about a shit schedule in Georgia, Cincinnati.
Yeah. Right. Well,
come on. There's a lot of suspect games. If you go back and look through Cincinnati's schedule.
Georgia doesn't have a win as good as Notre Dame.
All right.
And Cincinnati beat Notre Dame on the road.
Okay.
So that's the argument.
Yeah. Eric Ziegler. Number 1, if I was an Iowa fan, I would self-immolate unless Kirk Ferentz fires Brian Ferentz. Iowa's offense looked like something you'd see watching footage from the 1950s. MSU fans can relate, having lived through the end of the Dave Warner era, including the Barn Burner 18 Red Box Bowl.
R.I.P.
Oh, man, that was so brutal. 2, Hutchinson is a hell of a player, but how long will it take NFL coaches to tell him to knock off the David Bowie-esque eye paint? 3, Pickett's fake slide was impressive, but something you absolutely can't allow. Defenders are in an impossible situation. They're coached to pull up and back off when a quarterback is starting to slide. Allow it, and you're going to end up seeing a quarterback having their head taken off.
Yeah, it's got to be out. Like, they've got to address this before the bowl game. It's like, I don't even think you can like say, hey, like, this is a new thing nobody else has tried, because I think other quarterbacks.
But the committee watched all of the games, so they probably saw it.
Right, but I just think it's something you have to nip in the bud with a rule. Like, I'm
sure they talked about it though.
Yeah, it's got to be. You can't.
I like how they're all just sitting there though. They don't have any like notebooks or anything like that.
Nor
they don't take any notes or anything.
Yeah, it doesn't even look that fun.
It looks awful. Like, you can't booze, you can't Sky Mint, you can't do anything. You just sit next to each other with a bottle of water.
Like, I could create a whole. That's the problem, is that you have
it
to
at
be
a Hooters,
sober. Yeah,
or like a B-Dubs,
or Front 43 and Caskin Company.
That too. Yes,
that would be the
That's
place.
what I meant to say.
If like Caskin Company would be a great host for
Gary Barta.
Yeah.
Ken Chu, number 1, 10-2, undefeated at home, top 10 ranking, win at Miami, beat the little Wolverines again, New Year's Six Bowl bid, Heisman candidate, awesome Spartans. 2, quarterbacks who fake a slide should be invited to New York for the Heisman ceremony. Shouldn't. 3, it's hot here. 3, that Oklahoma State dude dove too early.
He did. Have you ever, like, I remember in Little League Baseball, I'd slide too early sometimes. It took me a while to figure out how far.
I never got on base.
No,
I think I had one hit. Everybody cheered. I had one good eye. I couldn't see the ball.
Oh, no. You were the kid they cheered when you finally got on?
Yeah.
Oh.
Dude, I could not. Listen, my right eye is absolutely worthless, so I could see out of my left eye.
It's hard to do.
And I just would close my eyes and swing. These kids were throwing curveballs. I was scared shitless. I hated baseball. I hated going.
No,
they put me in right field. Because if a kid with one eye, there's one thing you do. You put him far in right field.
That is a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. Outstanding menu. I mean, really outstanding menu. Great beer selection. Just great, cozy, spacious vibe. You'll love this place. I mean, I do remember, like, trying to. I felt bad for that Oklahoma State guy, because you're this close. But although it would have been interesting if they won, because with the way things shook out, with Bama winning, it would have been an interesting conversation. But I don't know that. Do they get in over Cincinnati then? That would have been a really, really difficult, interesting
They
deal.
wouldn't get in over Georgia with a weak schedule, even though they lost to Bama. Is Oklahoma State's schedule? I think Oklahoma State's schedule was scary if they would have won that game.
What I'm saying is, does Oklahoma State get in over Cincinnati?
I don't.
If
think
they had won,
so.
You don't think so? So it wouldn't matter. So in other words, diving too early didn't matter.
Yeah, maybe not. Kevin from Rochester Hills, number 1, Santa Rube T-shirt is brilliant, even for those who are not familiar with the story.
Great story.
2, the bad Santa movies are heartwarming. 3, Michigan fans suck ass and are ass.
Bad Santa movies. Where do you stand on them?
Love them.
Yeah, they're good.
The first one, I don't remember the second one, right?
Yeah, I only remember Bad Santa. Was there's a second version?
I don't know.
Often there.
Yeah, there has to be, right?
Well, I watched a movie with my wife the other night where it was with The Rock and Ryan Reynolds. It's like an action movie where they're both thieves. And
ooh, do tell.
Yeah, well, but it's kind of fun. But it's well done. It's 2 appealing stars. But I've never seen a movie set up an obvious sequel. So obviously, like, there has to be a sequel now. Like, the way it ended is like, clearly they sign up for another one.
They do that a lot with the what's the movies I'm trying to think of? Like I can't think, like Iron Man.
Okay,
those kind of movies.
But they know those aren't going to tank. What if this tanks? Like,
so what?
Yeah,
I'll get out of there with some money. Art only has one apparently. Number 1, Michigan won a conference championship, and Michigan State won their Super Bowl, so everyone's happy.
So if he's saying Michigan State Super Bowl is the Michigan game, I think Michigan State does treat that game that week like a Super Bowl, but I don't think that's the way Michigan State fans are. And I just don't think that's because they're not happy right now. I'll tell you that. Not everybody's happy. You can tell based on the Twitter questions. I mean, I can tell you right now who's not happy. Dominic is not happy. He's not happy with me. He's not happy with the situation.
I was about to say, because you gave him Georgia -6.5 as the lock of the century.
And I gave people Chelsea this week. It was not one of my better weeks. I apologize. It's just shit.
It happens. Dark Mantonio, number 1, the college football playoff has ruined other bowls outside the Rose Big Ten. Teams don't care. Citrus Fiesta, etc. are better than Music City and such, but bowls don't matter to fans of big-time schools anymore. And yes, they get money, but outside of the practice time, the players sitting out shows they don't care either. 2, what is wrong with you, Graham? You never go against Lord Saban, as he just showed Kirby Smart and everyone else that's still in Bama's world. 3, you can keep saying Michigan can't talk to Michigan State because they won the head-to-head, but beating the top dog, Ohio State, winning the conference, and going to the college football playoff ultimately trumps the head-to-head. And I'd bet every MSU player, coach, and fan would agree.
Oh, absolutely. And frankly, I mean, once they beat Ohio State the way they did, for them, slaying that dragon, that was a much, I mean, that trumped the head-to-head. Once the Ohio State game was over, the head-to-head conversation that we – see, here's the thing. The committee didn't need to move Michigan ahead of Michigan State when they did because they could have waited. I mean, it was obvious once you beat Ohio State, they could have let it play out. What were they nervous was going to happen? You know, that was the weird thing. Like, yeah, at a certain point, it became absolutely obvious. To your first point, I do think that this is why you go to 12, because we're already kind of there. Wherever the college football playoff cutoff line is that there's just not the same oomph to these bowl games that there was when there were, for whatever reason, when there were 2 teams and you just voted on them and it was imperfect. I didn't think that was a great system, but the other bowls still seem to have more meaning than they do now by adding the 2 more teams and making it this sort of official playoff. It's changed that, and so you got to go to the playoff. Now, the playoff will make the other bowls beyond it even less meaningful beyond that 12, but so be it. You deal with that.
Mr. Neurotic Pants. Number 1, bowl games should pit associated or rival programs against each other as much as possible. As it is, most bowls are meaningless. MSU versus Pitt is great. Notre Dame or Colorado would be good future opponents too. 2, Penn State hockey is hateable. Every time a goal gets scored, the lights get dimmed, the scoring player gets the spotlight, and some guitar solo is played. Dial it back, jerkwads. Your program's 5 years old, although sadly better than Michigan State. 3, just because you have the legal right to own a firearm doesn't mean you should. If guns are just tools, then why fetishize and hoard them?
I love when Mr. Neurotic Pants is watching this Penn State Michigan State hockey game, getting pissed off, thinking I got a hot take. Fuck this.
What a hell of a way to celebrate, though. That's some Kenny Powers shit.
Yeah, and it is.
Turn the lights off.
I have heard from several hockey coaches in terms of building a hockey program, and they did it well at Penn State. Smart coach, and they built a new facility. That sometimes it's easier in college hockey to start from nothing, which is what they did, than try to fix a lot of bad scholarships. And that's not just the MSU coaches saying that. So, I mean, I think if you do it right out of the gate, now you can screw it up and then you've got bad scholarships too, but I think they obviously did it right at Penn State. I would like to – I think matchups mean something. I think MSU Notre Dame would have been really cool. I think it would have been cool for Notre Dame too. I think it would have been cooler than playing Oklahoma State.
Jason with the E. Number 1, I'm muting my TV when Gus Johnson and Joe Klatt are on. I don't allow my kids to watch explicit love scenes. Gus and Joel have khakis on their bedroom floors this morning. 2, should I wake up from my bad dream now that the Lions won 1 game against a trash Vikings team? Sorry, but I'm not ready to wear my Lions sweatshirt from 1990 that my aunt, who literally hated me, got me when I was 17. Story may be worth telling.
We'd like to know that story, the full part of it, Jason.
But, and why do you have it if she hated you? Why do you still have the sweatshirt?
DM us or tweet us. We'd love to share that story if you think it's good. I want to know.
Call Graham 214. Michael Garnett, number 1. Dan Campbell and Jared Goff are ass. While we won the game, Stevie Wonder could make better decisions while driving than Campbell could with his in-game coaching, and Goff makes mistakes worse than Stafford's. If it weren't for these two, the Lions would easily be 5-7 or 6-6.
Easily.
Yeah, I don't know. 2, I like MSU's chances against Pitt. While the Peach Bowl doesn't have the same cachet as the Fiesta, we are the big game of the night, which gives Tuck's program great exposure nationally. All eyes on us. Tuck coming. 3, is Michigan ready for the SEC yet? While they were dominant against Iowa, they're about to get throttled by a pissed-off Georgia team. Go Dogs. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Michael. So the one thing that's interesting about this, and I do think there's something to this showcase of having the spotlight all to yourself on a Thursday night. I don't think that's bad. I don't know what the NFL Thursday night game is that week, but I think what's also interesting is there is some star power to it if the stars play. If Kenneth Walker and Kenny Pickett play, and they've got a great receiver who would have already set every MSU single season record. And so if the stars play in this game, yeah, it could be fun. It could be something that gets promoted. It gets something that's seen by quite a few people. And I think but you don't want to be on the wrong end of it either really badly. Michigan State's got to make sure that, the pass defense isn't embarrassing. Couch on fire. Number 1, ass. Georgia, Iowa, ESPN, playoff committee. 2, not ass. Rocky, Akins, and Saban's coaching. 3, Peach versus Pitt. Meh. Wanted Fiesta against either Oklahoma State or Notre Dame. Pickett, 500 yards passing. Bonus, 1 year as a coordinator there, and Freeman gets a primetime job. He owes BK big time. His timing was great. There's no question. He's thought of as and you're following a douche. Yeah, so you got. So it's pretty easy. But if you're not a douche, people are just going to like you. It goes a long way. I think not one assistant went with Kelly. No, I think it was a smart hire. I don't know if it's ultimately going to work out, but I think under the circumstances, given how he's thought of as a defensive coordinator, the defense was great this year. He's not thought of the way Bobby Williams is as some lieutenant. It's different, and I think this is the right move. We'll see if it actually works. I do like your approach here, Couch on Fire, with just blunt. Who's ass, who's not ass. And kudos to Rocky Lombardi, by the way. Northern Illinois won the MAC championship. He goes to a team that went 0-6 last year, takes over, leads to a MAC title after transferring. That's how you do it. How do we get a sponsor for that? Who's ass and who's not ass? That's actually Pornhub. Really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like where your head is. Why are you using that? Why do you use that voice? You've got a Pornhub membership. Get a hold of them. I got 3. Do you have VIP member? More Pornhub or more LSJ subscriptions? Dude, I have more LSJ subscriptions. It's unfucking believable. When Graham and I started this thing, he made up some bullshit contest. He goes, dude, just use 9 emails and sign up for this shit. So here's the weird thing. So the way it started is I didn't know. It turned out I didn't need it. But early on, and this is when we were starting to really get heavy into subs, there was like a competition company-wide. And my editors were like, oh, let's see how Graham does. Oh, fuck, this is going to be embarrassing. So I'm like, tell my wife, you got to buy one. I'm telling Jason, I need you to buy one. At least I'll have 1 or 2. And I did really well. And I wound up winning the whole thing. And since then, there's been lots. So it wound up being unnecessary. But I appreciate you at the time because I was clearly very uncertain that my work had anywhere near the worth that it wound up having to people, which is humbling. I've been paying $1 per quick take for a long time. Yeah. Appreciate you. Spartan 18770. Number 1, Michigan has a generational discussion to make at the end of the season. Offer a long-term expensive contract to Jimbo or let him go. 2, finding out that we're playing the Fighting Narduzzi's is like a powerhouse fan base finding out their new coach is Brian Kelly. Christ. 3, Michigan wins the Big Ten. The Lions win on a late second drive. Hug your loved ones, people. The end is near. The generational discussion to make at the end of the season: offer a long-term expensive contract to Jim Harbaugh or let him go. I don't know what Harbaugh is going to require. I don't know what they'll want to do. They've got money there. Money's not an issue. So, and as long as you can, the key is the devil's always in the details, right? It's the buyout language. It's the ability to get out of something. Certainly, you may bump him up again. You took him down and look what he just did. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And now he's making less than half of what Mel Tucker is. My guess is he gets a raise. Clint Bainey, number 1, you want me to watch a halftime show instead of hitting a doobie on my back deck until the third quarter starts? Fine. Then replicate one of the Squid Games at the 50-yard line or bring out Janet Jackson minus Justin Timberlake for another wardrobe malfunction. I'm sure those cans are still holding up 17 years later. 2, my son Connor scored a touchdown and threw for 2 more in the annual Columbia College of Chicago's Flag Football Turkey Bowl in Grant Park on Friday. What was your stat line, Couch, during the Turkey Bowl? And don't give me, I sprung a great block that allowed a film student with orange and blue hair with 0 athletic ability to cross the goal line. 3, I'm holding out for the Couch in the Rube banana hammock. I already have 74 T-shirts and 26 sweatshirts. What's one more, man? Come on. Bonus take.
They say that harboring hatred is unhealthy because it's negative emotion. I wholeheartedly disagree. I hate the Walmart Wolverines more and more each day, and I feel wonderful.
These are great takes, Clint. Well done. Your son Connor is as a fellow Columbia College of Chicago alum. I am proud to say I played in many a football game in Grant Park. We didn't have a turkey bowl. That's newer than me. What we had is the residence halls. We had different floors would play against each other, and I just remember some big dude named Neil, and I had this little guy as my left tackle. I was playing quarterback, and for a while I never saw where any of my passes landed. We played tackle. He just drilled the shit out of me, and he didn't feel like a film student. I don't know what he got into, but he didn't feel like most of the film students that you're talking about. But I know them. I saw them in I lived with many of them.
Janet Jackson's boobs. You think they're good?
I have
17 years later?
I have no comment.
Tyler.
It's one of the great. I mean, do you remember live when that happened? Do you remember seeing it?
No.
I missed it.
Because we were so hammered that we didn't end up seeing it. And it wasn't until the next day when the FCC came out and was flipping out about it.
I didn't notice it at all. Yeah, at the time. Yeah.
Right. It's ridiculous. Tyler, number one, can't help but have wanted Notre Dame more than Pitt. For MSU, Notre Dame's style is more beatable, too. 2, there is a reason Bama hasn't been a 6-point underdog since Gulp 2008. 3, I imagine Georgia has better players, but even I hammered the opening Michigan plus 7.5 versus Georgia. Seems like a coin flip to me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's stay away from me entirely because I don't know what happened to Georgia in this last game. Michigan's rolling. I also think matchup-wise it's not great for Michigan. And certainly over a touchdown, I don't think I'd mess with Georgia, but I don't trust Michigan. It's the ultimate Graham Stout it. In other words, it's not going to be my play. That's all for sure.
Yeah, we're just going to bet against Saban again. Grob, number one, Hogard and Walker are solid as playmakers, 82 assists and 45 turnovers, near 2-to-1 ratio, plus 18 steals / 6 blocks. 2, not solid, Bingham, Hall, Hauser, Marble, 22 assists and 45 turnovers. 3, more pass D failures against Pitt, and Harlan Barnett will be ringing bells for the Salvation Army in 2022.
So a couple of things on the hoop takes. One, I mean, the guys who have more turnovers than assists are not guys who are assist guys. They're scoring guys. They're big guys. So that's to be somewhat expected. But I do believe Hogard and Walker have taken steps in that department. It has been better. And, near 2-to-1. You want to be above 2-to-1, but you're right. The numbers themselves are improving for both those guys.
PZ, number one, Big Ten needs divisional realignment now. The West should be embarrassed. 2, the committee desperately wanted OK State to win so they could put them over Cincy. And 3, the Red Wings are 2 players away from being legitimate contenders.
If Oklahoma State had gone in over Cincinnati, I think that would have been – I don't know. This is the year, like the idea that you could go undefeated, schedule Notre Dame, beat them on the road. Notre Dame was in the conversation. And frankly, if you look at Oklahoma State's wins, Oklahoma State had the win over Oklahoma. They would have had 2 wins over Baylor. That is a stronger resume than Cincinnati, but they also would have had – what was their loss? They had a loss in there. I forget. But they had a loss. And so, yeah, that would have been a really interesting discussion.
Ron Quixote, number
Quixote.
1. Number 1, MSU Hoops will be a top 10 team when they play Michigan in January. 2, kudos to Michigan on their championship, but Iowa is ass. They'd be 5-7 if they played in the East. 3, over-under for the Peach Bowl should be 100 with the way these teams play defense. Should be fun.
You have to remember that Iowa did beat Penn State. I mean, Penn State's quarterback got hurt for that to happen, and that's what led to their ranking.
How did that happen?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Iowa was better early on, and they just I don't know.
The shit show.
This should be an over game, a game you take the over. Now, will be interesting because Pitt is really good against the defending the run. So I think Jalen Naylor is going to be healthy enough to play, and I think that's going to help. And this is a game where I don't know. Have we seen an over under yet? Do they have those? Hold on, give me some hop real quick.
Hold on a second. Refresh.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad.
Woo!
Don't coach back team.
Feliz Navidad.
All right, so now we got a bunch of bowl games here. This is awesome how quickly they're at the line. Why can't they do this with college basketball? College basketball, they wait like till 4 hours before the game before Vegas gets its shit together. college football, they got bowl games a month out. They're all ready to go, which just hurts the sport of basketball. So Georgia, Michigan is now up to -8. That's on the move. And Cincinnati, Alabama is moving the other way. It's at 13.5. That was up at 14.
Nope, not touching it.
You're not going to fuck with Saban
Nope.
again? I get that. Where the hell is the Michigan State game? Are they waiting on who's playing in these games or something?
I would suspect so.
Yeah. So I don't see a line yet on MSU. Must be they're waiting on Kenneth Walker and Kenny Pickett and all that stuff. That's kind of interesting.
Well, speaking of Jack Hagala, number 1, Pickett sits out the bowl game. 2, Michigan thinking they deserve the number 1 seed is delusional because Bama beat Georgia, but also check number 3. 3, Big Ten needs realignment because the East is too strong and it only hurts the conference.
Yeah, I mean, the East is, again, if Michigan and Michigan State stay up, it is. But right now it's mostly an Ohio State problem. If you put Ohio State in the West, would you say the same thing? If they were dominating the other team and the best of the East every year, I don't know. It would be an interesting conversation. Is it just Ohio State? I hope Kenny Pickett plays. I hope Kenneth Walker plays. Because obviously if they don't, it loses a lot of its luster.
Chris, number 1, Big Ten West is now 0-8 in the title game. Redo the divisions. 2, the two-handed shovel pass during the Dr. Pepper halftime challenge should be illegal in all 50 states. And 3, tailing Graham on the Pistons win total over is why I have a love-hate relationship with the guy. Stick to EPL.
Yeah, I'm doing well with the English Premier League. Although this is a little bit of a rough patch.
Hey, and your Mac Jones Rookie of the Year bet was good.
That's gonna
listen. You can't hit all of these, right?
No, and I really thought the Pistons. I thought the best one I hit the Pistons total. I thought was a shoo-in, and it's still not 100%. Because here's the thing in the NBA, the Pistons. You've seen young teams all of a sudden get in a spurt where they start playing 500 ball for a decent stretch, and that's all it would take. You don't have to do that much for that long to get to 25 wins in an NBA season. But I was totally wrong about this Pistons team, and I admit I thought they were going to take a little bit more of a step.
Chuck, number 1, Big Ten divisions are terrible. Iowa's the 7th best team in the Big Ten. This won't ever balance out. 2, Cincinnati would finish 4th in the Big Ten East with a 9-game Big Ten schedule. Agreed. 3, the college football playoff needs expansion.
I'm with you. It'd be interesting to see where Cincinnati would be. That would be. I don't know if they finished 4th in the Big Ten East. Cincinnati, I think, would beat. I think they'd finish 3rd in the Big Ten East.
All right. Mojo Jojo, number 1. Hard to understand how Oklahoma State was picked for the Fiesta, considering the MSU Notre Dame history. 2, we need to get Horst back for the game to give K9 a shot in the run game and our cornerbacks against Pickett. And 3, the chairs at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl press box will need to be reinforced. # Free Nuggets.
With trouble.
Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair.
So I don't think you're gonna get Horst back, and it's but the they don't consider the rivalry history. They basically said it was based on the rankings, and Oklahoma State's ahead of MSU, and Notre Dame's ahead of MSU. They put the 2 higher ranked teams against each other, and Michigan State was. I mean, it's clear the Fiesta's ahead of the Peach, and that's just what it came down to.
Steve, number 1, healthy and pissed off MSU DBs pick off 2 passes versus Pitt. 2, either Amani or Penny Hardaway will finish the season turmoil in Memphis. 3, agree with Graham, Arizona or Florida bowl game. 50-50 on traveling to game. Atlanta, 0%.
It's just, I mean, it's an easier trip, but it's not as, it's harder to make a vacation out of it. It just is. I mean, I'm going to have to, this bowl game is going to be costly to me in the sense that my wife and I now, whenever Michigan State has that bye week in the Big Ten basketball season, we're going to have to disappear for 3-4 days someplace warm so she can lay out by the pool or on the beach and I can scare people with my shirt off. And, because Atlanta just doesn't cut it. And I've been promising her, all year, I was like, listen, the bowl game is going to be a warm place. We'll go together. It'll be fun. You've got that week off between Christmas and New Year's, and I'll have to work a bit, but you can do whatever you want. You go to Arizona, you're 3 hours from the Grand Canyon, you drive around, whatever. Get your rental car, do whatever. It'd be great.
Again, I just imagine always when Graham tells these stories about a construction worker working a 15-hour shift out in the cold and listening to Graham talk about having to get his wife by the pool. Guy hasn't had a vacation in 3 years, the construction guy.
Fuck me, I'm sorry.
I should apologize to that guy. Gluten Weasel. Number 1, I should have made a Vikings money line bet at halftime. 2, both major college sports having their championship games on weeknights will never make sense to me. And 3, I admire Pickett's slide fake out, but there should be a rule against it, or getting hit on a slide has to be legal.
Yeah, no, they're going to do something, I think, quickly with that. It's caught too much attention, too. Yeah, I hope you didn't make the Vikings money line bet at halftime, because it did not.
I mean, you should have.
Yes.
I mean, it was a smart play at halftime.
Right, and you can lose smart bets. Let's be honest. There are lots of times.
But I don't know if I'd ever gamble on a Mike Zimmer-led team.
Or a Kirk Cousins team. I mean, as a quarterback, I'm just not a guy that covers a lot.
Yeah. Professor, number 1, A.J. Hoggard is going to be a physically dominant guard by his senior year. 2, Pickett will skip the bowl game to prepare to be drafted number 1 overall by the Lions. Boy. 3, Jim Harbaugh looks like a serial killer.
The venom's just ramping up. Fuck it, I'm going all the way here.
Rivalry aside, let's just talk about it. Yeah, he does look like he would.
Well, I've always said he's got to have a different resting face too, you know. But do you like Kenny Pickett as the Lions?
No.
Pick? Okay, you're not a Kenny Pickett guy.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Have you watched much Kenny Pickett?
No.
Okay, that's a lot of good answers there.
Well, I'm answering you honestly.
Yeah.
Could bullshit you. Yeah, I've watched a bunch of tape. Call me Al. If not, if you can't hit a quarterback on the – do you do this on purpose? You just throw words in here? If you can't hit a quarterback on the slide, then fake slide should negate the play and be a personal foul marked from the original line of scrimmage.
No, I agree. It's got to be not only are you down at that point, but it's got to be a penalty. You cannot fake – they've got to penalize people for it. Because otherwise, even if it was you're down at that point, it screws with defenders. There's got to be it's got to be almost like a intentional grounding type call. There's got to be a true penalty for it.
Hans Jurgen, number 1, FU Iowa. You can't do anything right, and the corn in Indiana is better too. 2, congratulations to the Lions, but if you have to run a shotgun on 4th and less than a yard, you should punt. Shouldn't have to be needed in the last minute heroic. Shouldn't have needed the last minute heroic. Oh, it's hot in here. Fuck it. 3, mediocre teams often lose to winless teams. And bonus hot take: MSU 37, Big Ten champs 33.
Mediocre teams do often lose to winless teams. That's why betting the Premier League is such a way to go, by the way, because you don't bet the mediocre teams. Yep, for sure.
Sounds great. Finally, the Hawk, Jake Hawkins. Number 1, people should stop being bitter about Michigan's Big Ten championship run. They earned it, but be bitter that Joel Klatt showed his true colors and joined the long line of people who kissed Michigan's ass when he brought up the controversial call from October 30th. 2, not only is the College Football Playoff Committee hypocritical for putting MSU below Michigan after the initial first loss to Purdue and say head-to-head matchups didn't matter, but they also don't understand bowl game economics. Give us the Peach Bowl when MSU fans probably would have packed Arizona. Come on. And 3, thank you guys for giving me a holiday song to annoy the fuck out of people when I feel like it. When someone brought up the Barbra Streisand version of Jingle Bells, I couldn't help but search for it on YouTube, listen to it, and not only laugh, but also wonder, what the fuck?
Appreciate you, Jake. Now, by the way, to Jake's number 1 point, I quit bringing up the call with the sack fumble on Peyton Thorne, because that if Michigan scores a touchdown there, that's great. But Michigan State had to punt almost immediately on a short field, and Michigan got a field goal out of it, I believe. And so it was a 4-point difference. Michigan State still won by 4. Like, that wasn't the game right there. There were lots of things that happened. The Kenneth Walker runs late. Like, stop. People need to stop. A lot of calls on Michigan State's way in that game. They caught some breaks. But that call itself was not what decided that game. And Joel Klatt needs to be better than that. He absolutely does. We appreciate all you guys. You guys are fantastic. We appreciate Skymint. Go to skymint.com for location information, for specials. And whenever you're in any kind of Skymint, in any Skymint location, use the Couch and the Rube promo code. Couch and Rube 20 for 20% off. We also appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue. I'm telling you, you will love this place. Great date night. Great place for a work lunch or just to get a beer after work. And thanks to Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. You've already heard from one of our listeners today who's been very happy with Mark and Jay. Give them a call, 248-626-2000, 248-626-2000, or email them at info@northcoastwm.com. That's Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. Couch in the Room.